Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and as promised, I'm going to be installing and reviewing more of Radioactive's Hammershot cylinders. What we have here are 3 cylinders that all fire a different ammo than the Hammershot is originally intended. Hammershot usually fires elite darts. What we have here is a 6-round Ultra cylinder, a 7-round Hyper cylinder, and a 7-round Whistler cylinder. And this one I'm actually really excited for because I think it would be neat to have a Hammershot that whistles. That would be fun. The other 2 are obviously less obscure, and some places don't even allow Hyper, and Ultra doesn't do anything special in any of the games that I play in. But it's still neat to see because some people really do like those ammos. There also are Whistling Ultra. So, if you like that. The nice thing about these particular cylinders is they don't require any modifications to the shell of the blaster, which means these mods are completely reversible. If I decide I really don't want to sacrifice a Hammershot to be able to fire Hyper, I can just put the old cylinder back in, or a different upgrade cylinder, which is really handy. So what we will be doing at first will just be installing the cylinder, which is drop in. It has a new rotation mech, and I will also be adding a spring spacer, as these all have stock springs in them. I will then test them, and if the performance is particularly piddly, I will then go ahead and do the dead space replacement, which will replace the head of the plunger tube, and I'll need to do a replacement gasket there. But we'll start by just doing drop in with the cylinder and the spring spacer and see what we get. So here we go. This Hammershot has already been modified. Some poor fool decided to take the posts out and remove the AR, but not really a problem here, because if I end up doing the plunger head replacement, it doesn't have an AR anyway, so we'll see how it works. And I said I wasn't going to do the cylinder head replacement, but given that whoever had this previously has already completely buggered it up and the seal is all messed up anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do it on this one. Alright, we got the internals in, plunger head replaced, seal replaced, spring spacer in place. Let's button it up and see if it will work. Seems to be rotating. Let me go find some whistlers and give it a test. Right, we've got a full cylinder. I will be taking these to the range and firing them, of course, but right now I'm just going to test to make sure it fires at all. It does. That will do. Now it does have a little bit of rotation issue. May need to clear off a little material, sand it a little bit, but it is in fact working. Decent performance. I think the top I got was 90 and the rest were in the 70s. So, yeah. Alright, on to the next one. This one, I'm going to do the Ultra next. I will have to talk to Radioactive about that. There is way too much wiggle in that cylinder right there. I don't know if this is just not the right piece up front or what's going on, but that is not going to work. So we'll try the Hyper cylinder instead. Alright, they're all loaded. Let's see if any of them will actually clear the chamber. Well, all but one cylinder fired, and some of them fired fairly well, and some of them didn't fire well at all, and I suspect that is more an issue with decidedly inconsistent ammo. Oh! The round wasn't far enough down, it wasn't disabling the AR. So this one, probably a good idea to install the plunger head to get rid of the AR entirely, but that does work. It rotates better than that one is, so that's nice. And I need to reach out about this one. Problem solved. Just had to glue the rotation mech in rather than screw it in like the other ones. Alright, we can button this one up and see if we can fire some Ultra. It works! But once again, I think it is worth it to go ahead and replace the plunger heads. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then I will take it out to test. I'm going to turn my camera off because it's about to die anyway. So, next time you see me, it'll be on the range. Right, we're here on the range, and for no particular reason, I'm going to start with the Hyper cylinder. See if we can hit anything at all. I hit it! Actually firing much better than I expected. That's fabulous, actually. I dig it. Try the next one. Up next, we have whistlers. Old whistlers, and I like the idea of a Hammershot that whistles, so we'll see if we actually get any whistle. Ooh. Well, we got a little... Yeah. Can't hit anything, because whistlers are extremely inaccurate. But there is a little bit of whistle. I dig it. But we might be able to do better. Because last, but certainly not least, we have the Ultra cylinder with the Screamer darts. We'll see if it works at all. Good Lord. I missed the 25, hit the one behind it. One more shot. Oh. Well, as with whistlers, they're a bit erratic, but those definitely have some power, and they whistle nicely. I am pleased. Right, let's go talk about it some more. Right, that was entirely too much fun. Let's talk about how practical it actually is. So, we'll start with the Hyper one, because that was the first one I fired, and it performed considerably better than I was expecting. I kept missing right over the top of the targets because I was expecting there to be more drop, and for it to not have as much range as it did. It will hit about 70 FPS with the internal tuning that I have done. I have no doubt that you could get better than that, with a heavier spring, better seal, maybe a better quality print on the cylinder. I understand that this is a prototype cylinder. One of the issues that I ran into is when the balls are fully seated, they actually protrude out the back of the cylinder and act as a rubber stopper that will prevent the cylinder from properly rotating. I think it needs either the geometry on the bottom needs to be tweaked so that the round can't protrude out the bottom. Other than that, it works, like I said, remarkably better than I was expecting. I would maybe request some sort of a ramrod that either clips down here somewhere or clips to the rail or something, because you do have to ramrod load it in order to get it to seat. Sometimes the rounds will just drop all the way in and then drop all the way back out, because Hyper rounds do not exactly have the greatest of, tolerances in their design. But I was very impressed. So if you happen to really love Hyper and you're actually playing somewhere that allows Hyper, this might be something to look into. The Whistler performed about as I expected. It's getting about 70 FPS, which is about what you can really hope out of Whistler darts in a Springer. Very inaccurate, but then that's a result of the ammo, not the blaster. Whistler darts have always been notoriously inaccurate because they are asymmetrical. It's only got a whistle on one side, which causes drag, which causes the darts to go all willy-nilly. But it was hitting about 70 FPS, which gives it a little boost over stock, I believe. And again, I'm sure you could get better with more tweaks, better spring, all of that. Better spring over a spacer is generally going to get you better performance. Again, print quality, this is not the best print. There's a couple of spots where it looks like things didn't quite connect correctly. There was one cylinder I was worried wasn't going to work at all, but it doesn't seem to be a problem. But it's really, really cool. And while it's billed and advertised as a Whistler barrel, it will fire any elite dart or a half dart for that matter. You'd need to ramrod a half dart, but the difference is just that the end of the cylinder is designed so that the wider Whistler head doesn't interfere. You could also use the old suction cup darts as well as Whistlers. I like the Whistlers because they whistle, which is just neat. And it is a fully functional 7-round cylinder, so that is pretty cool as well. And then finally, the one that absolutely surprised me was the Ultra cylinder. Ultra gets a bad rap because it really isn't a great ammo type, and the first blaster released was just a lemon. Some of the blasters after that have been good, but that really doesn't make up for the bad PR. But this is surprisingly good. It hits 90 FPS just with the tinkerings that I did. Again, I'm sure you could get more out of that. I don't know what would happen to the ammo. I'm pretty sure it would get even more inaccurate. These whistlers are symmetrical. They've got a whistle on both sides, which is one, why they whistle louder, and two, why they're probably a little bit more accurate, though still obviously inaccurate. You saw the footage. because the whistle causes drag and weird performance and all of that. I didn't see any much of a difference with orientation. I tried orienting it whistles parallel as well as whistles horizontal. Didn't seem to make that much of a difference. The non-whistling ones are a little bit more accurate, but not a whole lot because Ultra. But 90 FPS is pretty impressive, and I was able to get easily get 75-foot range. Not accurately, but that's not the point. I can get the range, and they scream when they fire. At 90 FPS, it's definitely an audible scream, and when it's coming at you, it's really kind of terrifying, and I love that. Now, Ultra ammo is generally considered light ammo everywhere I've ever played, including my own games, but I might try making a game where sonic ammo, whistling ammo, has a special effect of some kind, which could be an interesting game type. And then things like this and this and other whistling blasters might be useful. But it is a perfectly functional 6-round cylinder, which is what I run in my general Hammershots, and they don't whistle. This one screams at the opponent, so that's pretty cool. They all, like I said, are reversible. The cylinders can be swapped back out. I did end up going in and doing the plunger head upgrade on all 3 of them, and I did do a little bit of extra tweaking here and there to finally get them fully functional. I had some issues getting the cylinders to rotate. I did do a little bit of shell modification just in the top area right here on some of them, because these cutouts in the cylinder were snagging slightly on the top of the shell here, and so I just dremeled it away. Doesn't affect the ability to swap the old cylinders back in, or any other cylinder. If you wanted to go to a Gavin Fuzzy 8-round or an Orange Modwork 6-round, these shells are still perfectly compatible with all of that, and the dead space removal will actually give them more power in general on a standard cylinder. So these ones are really, really cool in that respect. Now, I do have more of the cylinders. The next ones I'm going to look at are the large ammo types, the Mega XL and Demolisher Rocket cylinders. We'll see how well they work. And then I'll probably start looking at the inline half-dart clip ones, the ones where it's multiple inline clips. I believe there's at least one that will fit without you having to cut the shell, and the rest of them are designed to use longer cylinders to give you even more capacity. That'll be its own video in and of itself at some point. No idea when I will get around to it. I make no promises, but I will get to them eventually. So there you have it, the Radioactive Hammershot cylinders for Ultra, Hyper, and Whistler. Pretty cool if you like obscure ammo types, or like just variety, because it's the spice of life. Look into it. Links will be down in the description. Thank you for watching. Mine.